It's happened. Halo Campaign Evolved is on the PS5. I played it. Sean played it. Nate played it. MVG played it. He's not here. He's somewhere. I don't know where he is. He's somewhere. But I played it on the PS5. Sean played on the Xbox. Nate played on the Xbox. We went through the game together, and we have some thoughts. How's everyone doing? Sean?
I'm fine. Thank you for asking.
What about you, Nate? How you doing over there?
I am hot, sweaty, tired, but here to talk about some Halo campaign evolved.
It's hot over there.
It's muggy.
Oh, this is humid. It's humid. That's all right. That's all right. Yes, Halo Campaign Evolved. It's out in early access today, and then it will officially release on the 28th. So we're still 5 days or so away from it. But we went through it, and we were the smart ones and decided to immediately go through it on Legendary. So we didn't even mess. I mean, I played some levels just on normal because I went back looking for skulls, but we went through 4-player co-op. We did the cross-platform play. I was on the PS5. They were on their Xbox systems, and for the most part, it worked pretty well. We had some network things that were going on. Might have been desync issues. We're not sure, with some stuttering. But when I played by myself going through, it was pretty solid in terms of frame rate and visuals. But you guys played it on the Series X, okay? So give me your thoughts on the look of the game, the visuals.
I mean, I think Nate would be better to answer that because he has a reference point, like
Right.
kind of comparing it to the original.
That's a good point, actually. Let me real quick. Sean, this is Sean's first playthrough of the campaign for Halo, not the multiplayer. Sean is well versed in the multiplayer. He goes back to the days of, a lot of people were obviously online with Halo 2, but even like Halo 1 with X-Link Kai or something. Which one did you use, Sean?
Yeah, we used X-Link Kai.
So he's been around the block, but not campaign. He never played the campaign. So this was his first outing for it. Nate, though, has played the campaign like myself all the way through multiple times. So Nate, what was your initial thought on the visuals? Because it's one thing to see it in these streams, compressed and everything. When we actually have it on the screen in front of you, it's much different.
Yes, I'd say it's one of the better looking games of the generation. The use of ray tracing to really emphasize the lighting in certain areas, like on the Silent Cartographer, when you're on the bridge, you get the light bridge. That's all ray traced. And I think the key thing with Campaign Evolved is how well it captures the aesthetic of the original release with Halo Combat Evolved. This feels as though it is following the art style. It's following through on delivering the atmosphere that original game had back in 2001. And if you were to compare it to Halo Anniversary, that version feels like the bastardized version of Halo. This outclasses it in every way, and there was a lot of complaints around Halo Anniversary Edition because they changed the art style. Certain details in the foreground were lost. Whereas with Campaign Evolved, all the details you expect to see from Halo 1 are there. They look better than ever. And I think it was really rewarding and pleasant to see how true to the aesthetic of the original Campaign Evolved is. This feels as though it is the definitive way to play Halo 1. And that is a big statement, but visually impressive throughout. Very minimal pop-in. Performance is rock solid if you're playing solo. And I really have no complaints with its visual design or direction.
Yeah, there were a few moments in the game I was concerned about how maybe they would approach different, because the thing about this game, and so the footage I'm going to show is from the first few missions, because I think part of the experience is if you have a reference point from the original Halo game going through the campaign, seeing it here remade, you know, new coat of paint, whatever else, I think being able to experience some of the changes or upgrades they've done here is worth like experiencing for the first time yourself. So with that in mind, I really don't have a lot of complaints that I can think of when it comes to the visual style. It's using Unreal Engine, and I think the thing that I would have been concerned about would have been the stutter or some of the other issues we've experienced with Unreal Engine. I don't know if it's just because they have some experience with, obviously Microsoft themselves with their sports studios have a lot of experience with Unreal Engine, but the performance and stuff didn't really have a lot of issues there. We played network. We did 4 people in a room, and we were trying to figure out if it was the network, because we would have times where there were a lot of enemies on screen that the game would start to chug. But then when I would play through some of those sections myself offline, I didn't have a lot of the chugging issues. So I kind of wonder if that's more network side than the game engine side. But I did play it on the PS5 Pro, and it looks really clean on the Pro. Like, it's not a situation of where it's blurry looking for Unreal Engine or anything, dropping resolution constantly. It looked pretty good, and it was super weird. It still is to see it on the PS5, as I went back and I did some other stuff with the game outside of the multiplayer. And it's just seeing it on that PlayStation 5 dashboard just feels wrong. And I think it's going to be a novelty for a lot of people to even pick it up. But hey, look, right now Halo needs the sales any way they can get them. So while I think this might be the only Halo we see on the PS5 or PlayStation for a long time, if ever, I mean, it's a good entry point. It is. I think get people interested in Halo. I like the idea of the co-op because we were going through and we were doing a lot of the stuff with the Warthog, and it lets you do 4 people on a Warthog now, so someone can jump on the back. And for co-op, it is a lot of fun. All right. That said, Sean, you had a bit of a different view of Halo, actually. Nate and I will admit, have some nostalgia here. So there is more of a liking, I think, immediately from us to this game. You were seeing it a bit differently, though.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's obviously a game that that if you have nostalgia for it, like, you're gonna love it. Like, there are certain games that have been like, okay, take like Shenmue 1 and 2 HD. If you've never played Shenmue before and that's where you get in, a lot of people will understandably be like, oh, okay, this is the big deal. But for someone like me who has a lot of nostalgia for it, I loved it. It'll be the same thing with the Metal Gear Solid 4, probably. Like, there's going to be people, oh, I can't believe these cutscenes are so long. And I'm going to be like, shut up. Like, this is top tier gaming right here. For me, as someone who has never played a Halo campaign before and never played the Halo 1 campaign, I felt like, yeah, it looked cool at times, but it definitely kind of felt like an older game. It felt like I was playing an older game. And so, like, a lot of the reference points and a lot of the wow factor for the new visuals were kind of lost on me. Like, yeah, it looked cool, and there was definitely some nice lighting and stuff like that. But, like, it definitely felt to me kind of like, a more dated game, like the enemy designs and stuff like that, the waves of enemies and stuff. I was just kind of like, oh, this is neat. Like, I
like the shooting gallery effect.
Yeah. And, obviously a lot of the stuff like the new missions and stuff, that's all lost on me because,
Sure.
So once again, I think there's going to be people that absolutely love this game. But I think that if you've never played the Halo campaign before and you're going in, like, thinking it's going to be like this absolute modern masterpiece that is just as good in 2026 as it was, 20 plus years ago, I don't know. I think for some people, especially with some of the campaigns that we've gotten from games or, first-person shooters since then, obviously the genre has changed a lot. It's evolved a lot. And, it just felt, just like a beautiful version of an older game, which there's nothing wrong with that. But, for me, it wasn't like, oh, my God, I can't believe I've never played this before. I was kind of like, it's cool. Like, I don't regret playing it, but it's like, if I never experienced this, I don't feel like, I'd be any worse for wear.
Yeah, they did stick pretty one-to-one to a lot of the stuff with Halo, from the original one from the Xbox with this. And it did feel very much like, I mean, they said it was going to be a remake basically, but they didn't play around too much with whether it's the enemy designs even, but just the flow of the game and what they were trying to do with it, sticking 1-1. So you're right in that there are gonna be times if you've never played it and you're going back to it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, okay, this does feel kind of like an older first-person shooter, because it technically is. But the thing I liked about it is, while they do have a lot of the one-to-one aspect, they did introduce weapons that weren't in Halo 1. Like that's the thing that obviously would have been lost on you, Sean, but there were weapons like the needle rifle. It's like, oh, this is pretty cool. They went ahead and dropped this in here for us to run around and use with a few other weapons. I'm not going to spoil all of them, but there are some where you're going to pick up and be like, oh, that's cool. They actually put this in here. So that's, I don't know, something like that. It definitely is going to rely on previous knowledge of Halo campaign evolved, or Halo combat evolved, sorry.
That also extends to even how you consume some of the areas within the game itself, because one of the areas that we had a lot of curiosity about approaching was the library. Now that is a stage that is notorious for its backtracking, its very similar design throughout, to the point of it just being boring to play through. And when we went through the library, those feelings weren't there because the library has been changed. It has been redesigned in some way where it doesn't feel as monotonous as it did in the original game. And even if it is just through a visual design change as to the corridors and such, it didn't have that dreaded feel that it had 25 years ago.
Yeah,
it felt more modern in comparison.
Yeah, it did, because we were going through that, and we got to the end, and we were like, oh, it's over. Oh.
Yeah, it didn't play radically differently, but it did play differently. So if you have that, like, dread of having to revisit the library, it's not going to be as bad as you recall. It's actually more pleasant to play through this time around, and that was a nice surprise. But the weapons definitely add a lot to the game, or even the vehicles, as you have now more access to the vehicles in Campaign Evolved than you did in the original release. And it just adds a little bit of extra thrill and spice to the campaign that we have played countless times, to be able to use, like you said, the needle rifle or the sentinel beam. Guns that we have used in the sequels but never in this original campaign. It doesn't radically alter anything, but it's neat to see them featured in the game and to be used against the Flood, the Covenant, just to mix things up a little bit so you're not relying solely on the battle rifle or the AR or the shotgun. And I think that was a really nice implementation, the way they were able to just add it to the game, and it felt natural. It felt as though these weapons were always there. And I think for newcomers, it's just going to be that welcoming feature. And for veterans, it gives you a little more reason to maybe replay the game with all the skulls unlocked and really challenge yourself and go for it on Legendary. Because, as you said, we played through it on Legendary, and it really wasn't that bad.
No, but we also had Actually, it really wasn't, but I feel like if I played through it by myself on Legendary, I'd feel overwhelmed at times, because there were definitely moments where one of us would retreat and respawn the others. And that happened a few times, because there were some where we ran out into a field and there were just hunters everywhere and elites and all kinds of stuff. And it was just, it wasn't easy to get across that field, basically. Although Sean just kept punching hunters in the back, and then they just killed him that way. Which was funny. I still like the idea of the warthog and everyone piling in and rolling around and killing stuff. I mean, that feeling is still all there. So if you're somebody who really enjoyed that, playing co-op with a friend, now you can do that with 2 other people, group of 4, and you can all pile in the warthog all at once and roll around, like the second level where you get the warthog pretty much right away, just about. You just roll around and take everything out. And it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it is shooting gallery waves of enemies, like Sean mentioned, but it's still a good time. The gameplay loop itself, I think it's still very satisfying.
Yeah, it's cool.
Sean was not as impressed most of the time.
I mean, it's just it's fine, but once again, like I said, it definitely feels, to someone who doesn't have a reference point, playing it for the first time in 2026, not being able to, compare it to the original visuals, or compare, in the original game, it looked like this, and now it looks like this. Like, I think a lot of that will be lost on some people, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's just a fact of how this game was. I mean, it's kind of like Star Fox. Like, think about how when Star Fox came out, there were people like, oh, this game is so short, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, dude, you got to do all the different paths, all this other stuff. Once again, like, that was a game that I played to death, so I loved it, but I could understand why some people would be like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of subtle changes that you wouldn't get the reference to because you're not familiar with the campaign, but things that would stand out immediately to veterans like John and myself. And one of them is when you get pulled up into the ship. In the original game, that was a cutscene. That was a cinematic. Now it's real time. It's a seamless transition from battling the hunters, being beamed up into the ship, and already transitioned into the stage. And it's just those little touches that are nice to see that veterans and those familiar with the game will really appreciate. But for someone like you would have seen that sequence and been like, oh, this is exactly how the original game must have played out. There's nothing special going on here.
Right.
So it is kind of like, it's a love letter to longtime Halo fans, but it's also serving as that introductory to newcomers like yourself. But the problem with the game is that the core layout and blueprint is still from 2001, so it's not going to have that impact on you as it did us going back 25 years. And I think the opinion you're expressing is more than valid, because it definitely has plenty of validity to it. The game is dated in a lot of ways, and it's just a question of, will a newcomer be able to overlook some of that dated design and appreciate what's there, or is it going to be too much to overcome and view it as more of a mediocre experience? Because as time went on, some people would say that maybe Halo 1's campaign isn't one of the best of the franchise. I personally love the campaign. It's one of those games I can replay time and time again. But there's definitely a subset of Halo fans that would say it's probably closer to the bottom in terms of campaign content. So it's interesting to see where this game will land with individuals who have never played the game before.
Yeah, I think I got to try to think of the campaigns. I know I really liked Halo 3's campaign. That one was very good. But I also think a lot of people like 2 quite a bit.
Yeah, people like 2. They just didn't like how all the marketing led up to a battle that we thought was going to kind of be the entire game.
Right, the cliffhanger didn't help much.
Yeah.
But
And
this is
like, you bring up Halo 3, and the feel of Campaign Evolved is very similar to Halo 3, especially with the introduction of Sprint.
oh yeah, yep. That's gonna be controversial.
It is going to be controversial, but I don't feel as though having Sprint in this game broke anything. I didn't feel as though I didn't have any advantage I didn't have in the original game. But it feels very much like you're playing Halo 3 set in Halo 1. And I think that was a nice way for them to do it. It modernized it in some capacity.
Yeah, I think you would look at like Sprint. You look at like Halo Reach, for example, the needle rifle and stuff. So they basically started taking elements from other Halo games and pushing them into this one, which is fine because it puts them on kind of a level playing field then. So if you're going to go from, which we assume there's going to be it's already being thrown around, a remake for 2 and then 3, it's not going to feel like as big of a jump technically because they kept introducing new elements and new weapons. Like we've already kind of had those weapons now thrown into this one, so it'll be more of a consistent move, most laterally between them. But Sprint, it's definitely noticeable because it gets you across the different parts of the level pretty quick. But I can definitely see how if we didn't have Sprint and it's somebody like Sean, for example, he probably would have been like, why can't I sprint? That'd been the first thing that would happen, and that's, I think a lot of people who have never played Halo would come in here and think that immediately. So it definitely helped when we didn't have access to a vehicle to get across parts. But there were times where I wasn't really thinking about it, and I just kind of walked normally through, say, like insides of structures or something. I wasn't necessarily thinking about Sprint as much. So maybe somebody who comes in is just sprinting all over the place, but I just kind of trudged around at times as Chief.
Even the consumables or the items, it's such a subtle change, but it did change a lot of how you approach certain situations, because you'd get the active camo or the overshield, and in the original game it would pop immediately, and now you have that choice of holding it and waiting until you're in a combat situation, or maybe you're getting overwhelmed by hunters, the flood, or whatever, and then using your overshield. And it's such a minor change that really alters how you approach a situation. But it's also a modern Halo feature. So again, a newcomer is going to see that and be like, yeah, of course I'm going to activate this whenever I want it. Whereas we didn't have that option available to us 25 years ago. Once you picked up the overshield, it was active.
Yep, it just worked right away. Yeah, and it is much more strategic to have it stored and you press a button to use it because you can actually then use one and then pick up another one, so you can
Right.
kind of like use two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
So
now it has like a bit of that tactical element to it. And it's just a very pleasant change to see in the game.
yeah, so with with this game, the thing that popped up to me that I was a little put off by, I'll admit, was the opening title screen. And I mentioned this. It looks, I don't know, maybe there's a day one update that I don't know about or something that's going to happen, and this will just end up being irrelevant. But the title screen looks pre-rendered. It's like a video almost looks like it's
It's
playing.
it's definitely a video because I went through the options and you can pause it.
Oh,
You can
man.
disable the motion of the title screen.
Wait
What?
a minute. Are we really complaining about a title screen?
Well-
Well, it
didn't we-
hitches. It has
didn't we make
hiccups.
fun of someone who did that? Like
That's
they,
because he said it was very bland and it was representative of the quality of the game. This is a video that is for some reason hitching, and it feels like it's the videotape from Speed, where they didn't get enough of the videotape, so you keep seeing where it restarts.
It kind of is like that. No, it's kind of that, and then so they have the cutscenes throughout the game as well, and they are also like pre-rendered cutscenes. And I'm not really sure what the quality level is of those cutscenes, but I could definitely see banding and compression on my screen when they were playing, and I'm like, that's weird because it looks lower quality than at times the in-game visuals that we just came from. And it's like completely different from back in the day when you'd be playing, we'll say like a PS1 game, even a PS2 game, for just as an example, and then would go to the cutscene, like a Final Fantasy or something, and the cutscene looks way better. It's I don't, maybe we're getting to a point where if you pre-render the cutscene, it's gonna look kind of worse than the visuals you're coming off of in gameplay.
Yeah, welcome to 2026, pal. But yeah, I did notice that there was like little hitches and stuff, and
Yeah.
I will say the I guess for lack of a better term, the rubber banding is kind of weird too. At times, it was kind of you would warp to wherever
Teleport.
one of your teammates were,
Oh yeah.
and sometimes it wouldn't be the situation that you wanted to have happen because you didn't think you were far enough away from them or something.
Yeah, I kind of wish maybe they had implemented a feature that we see in other shooting campaigns where it would have said you have to get to your friend's location, or the friends would have had to wait until there's 3 out of your 4-member party or something to be at the location to open a door or something, instead of just boom, transporting you right to where they are, very abrupt with no sign or warning that it was going to take place. So that would have been nice to see. But I do have to make mention that the original Halo loading screen is featured here. It's only up for about a second or two, but you do see the ring in the loading screen transition as you launch into a stage. I thought that was a really nice feature.
That was not the thing with this game though. Is it's important to note there are prequel levels that you can play, which is new content, where you and Sergeant Johnson are running around before the events of Halo Combat Evolved then. And I mean they're interesting. They don't we were playing, I know we did co-op through the first one, and I was playing the other ones as well before this, and they're all right. I didn't know if there'd be some kind of big revelation moment or something with it. I'm sure people who are super deep in the lore are going to have some stuff to say about a few of these missions, but it didn't do anything that was like over the top. I can't believe it. This settles everything. Nothing like that. They're kind of nice to haves. And so when you get beyond that and you start to look at it and go, okay, how long is this game going to take me to play through? This is a game where they want you to play through it multiple times. So before I say our playthrough for Legendary was, I think, less than 10 hours, and that's on Legendary. Like you will, if you want, you can blitz through this game fairly quickly. I think there's 10 missions. They have it in the mission select when you look at it at the start. And So when you go through the game, though, they want you to find skulls. That's the idea. There's 40 something skulls in the game, and it's just like other Halo games. But there seems to be, to me, more of an it feels like there's more of an emphasis on skulls with the marketing leading up to this, where they have change of perspective or less ammo or all the weird stuff you could do with it. And then the achievements and trophies also lean into the skulls. They want you to do certain things on different levels with them activated. And then like the big trophy, the gold one, is lasso, which is like legendary, all skulls on, and that's very difficult. So when you go through the game, you do want to hunt around and try to find them, but even then, I'm probably going to look up some guides to see where some of them are, because we were scouring some of those levels and we came up with like nothing a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, we were searching for skulls for the first few levels to the point where MVG thought maybe the skulls weren't patched into the game yet. And then immediately following his comment, we found a skull. So
Yes, I will tell people a freebie in the first room of the game. There is a skull in there. So,
Spoilers! Come on.
just the first room before you walk out. Look around. There's a skull in there somewhere. All right, it's not too hard to find. But otherwise, I didn't get a chance to try. That's the thing before this, because they were pretty hard to find. Obviously, the skulls. We didn't get a chance to really play around with many of the skulls to do all kinds of weird effects. Or you can do something called campaign remix, where depending on the skulls you found, it'll put you in different scenarios and try to change things up. So there is replayability here. Just kind of understand you're going to be playing back through these same levels pretty much over and over again in varying level degrees. So it's
because you brought up the first stage, I have to ask a question, and this is something that Sean would have had no reference to. How did you feel about the change to the start of the game where you're awakened from cryo state and you don't do any of the camera or panning check? It's just the game starts.
Okay, so I went back because I know you're talking about the same thing, right? Because when we started the game, that's what we got. But I went back and I put it on easy so I could try to look through for more skulls, which I found a couple more, and they did have me do it. So I think if you have it on legendary, they don't even bother. But if you put it on anything less,
I think I started on heroic.
maybe it was that. Okay, so I put it on easy, and they definitely had me do it. I was like,
That's
oh,
weird.
okay, we are doing this, because you're right. The first time I did it, and I think it was heroic, I had it on. Now I'm thinking about it, and then of course went through on legendary, but they didn't bother. But they didn't have me do that. But easy they did.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that caught me off guard. I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess you're going to do the thing where you knock my shields down and let them recharge."
Right.
And I have to, yeah. So they still do it. It's just I feel like they go, "Hey, if you're doing this on heroic, you probably don't need us to tell you how to look up and down." So that I actually like if that's the case.
Yeah, because that was interesting. When I started on heroic to go through just on solo, and it was just, all right, let's get you ready. Let's go get your gun. Like, wow, this is really just up and go. There's no real tutorial about changing your settings or anything. This is kind of nice. But now we find out it may just be exclusively in easy mode.
Yep, the pistol, everything, AR, everything was I think had some good punch to it. The sound was nice for him. The sniper felt a little weird, but I kind of feel like I usually calibrate in my mind the sniper to more multiplayer than anything else. So I don't know, because like all the different enemies look like they're different sizes and stuff. So you feel like you get a headshot and then you don't. And we were playing on legendary, so it's like multiple headshots to knock them down. So that's fine. Brutes are in the game in the prequel levels as well. So that was an interesting thing to see. But otherwise, I enjoyed my time with Halo Campaign Evolved. And if you've never played the Halo series and you have friends to play with, I think it's 100% recommend. I will admit, if it's just you playing this and you're wondering, is this like you've never played Halo before? It's just you. It is a starting point, but I think it's a more enjoyable game with friends, is what I'll say. That said, I do think there are some levels in this game that are must plays. We've talked about Sonic Cartographer, but also there is a mission in the game that I'm not going to spoil that is still incredible. I think even better in Campaign Evolved, and it completely flips the whole campaign on its head 5 or 6 missions in. So I think Halo Veterans is what I'm talking about.
That is probably the best looking stage in the game.
Yes, and
That game is
unfortunately,
phenomenal.
the one night that Sean could not play with us because we did like 2 missions a night. That's the night he didn't play, and he has no idea what I'm talking about, and it's very unfortunate.
Darn.
You could always go back and play it though.
I could. I sure could.
It was very good though. It was very good. For
Yeah.
the veterans out there, it was in the forest,
The-
so people will
Yeah,
know.
the atmosphere, everything about that stage, the setting, it's a visual treat. That game, I think that stage really takes advantage of the ray tracing, all the hardware features, the technical features of Unreal Engine, and that's just a visual delight.
Oh, and very quickly, last thing, the DualSense controller does have some like little fun things they throw in there. So when your shields recharge, the light bar will actually go between, like, change between different colors, showing that it's recharging. If you get into serious trouble and like your health's really low, it'll turn red. You do have the adaptive triggers also at play at times, and then of course all the haptic feedback is also in play. So they at least did take advantage of the DualSense controller somewhat. It wasn't overbearing or anything to where I thought I had to turn certain things off because it was affecting aim or shooting different guns. But it was nice to at least have something additional there for getting on the PS5, which I still have to get it physically on the PS5 because that's something for the collection. That's
Why?
something for the collection.
Nobody buys physical PS5 games, Sean.
I just did an unboxing. I'm gonna do an unboxing for this game on the PS5.
As a short?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ugh.
See, that's the one thing people can never say. I didn't get physical games. I have YouTube Shorts history of me buying physical games and opening them.
That's great.
Well, those are our thoughts on Halo Campaign Evolved. Sean, any closing statements?
It's A-okay.
Sean really just avoided making people mad, the Halo fans mad.
No, I mean, I just, it's a fine game. Is it something, like I said, do I feel like I missed out on anything? Not really, but it's good for the goose, isn't good for the gander, so.
You'll be here with us for the multiplayer though, whenever multiplayer Halo comes back around.
I don't know, after Infinite,
Ooh,
it's kind of a
man.
bad taste in my mouth.
Man. Well, okay, well, how about this? From what you saw from Halo Campaign Evolved, if we got a multiplayer mode to it, as in PvP, like that Unreal Engine, would you be interested in it?
Yeah, but they're not going to do that.
Well, I mean, like whenever they do the next Halo. Like if there's a Halo, it could be a Halo spinoff, could be the next big Halo game, but if it was done kind of like the look or the feel of Campaign Evolved, would you, like, is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, sure. That'd be fun.
Okay, cool. There we go. All right. Any closing comments there, Nate?
If you are a fan of Halo Combat Evolved, you will be a fan of Halo Campaign Evolved. If you are a newcomer, you might find that the game is dated, but I think you'll still find enjoyment in the campaign itself. Definitely a lot of high points, maybe some slow points. As we said, it's a shooting gallery with the enemy flow. But overall, I think this is a really good release for PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox. And I was really satisfied with the quality of the game.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure to check out Halo. It is out early access today, or you'll have to wait till next week on the 28th when it fully releases. Also on Game Pass, but PS5, Xbox, and PC. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.